Hello, everybody. Hello. Hello. Hi, my name's Alexander, and today I want to talk about human behavior. How's this? That's better? Okay. I just want to get a sense. How many people are business owners here? Raise your hands. Leave your hands up. How many other people that didn't raise your hands are managers of some kind? Okay, so like all of you. How many of you have difficulties with human behavior? Both. We're going to address both today because they're the same, basically. I'm about to try to fit thousands of hours of content into one. So this is going to be fast and aggressive. And 2 points. One, when we do the exercise, please don't fill it out ahead of time. We're going to walk through it together. Second, I'm going to hang around after the fact if you have any questions. This tool that we're going to discuss today has just about 1,000 applications, probably a whole lot more. But I'll give you some history. I'm 25 years old. How many here are younger than 20? How many of you are younger than 30? How many of you are younger than 40? Okay, I'm the youngest here. So who the hell am I? Why do I have any credibility? I don't know if I do or not. But what I have proven is when we apply this tool and we apply this philosophy of thought, we garner results every time. If you're willing to do the work and your people are willing to do the work, I can guarantee results. And these results will change the way you look at your business, and it'll change the way you look at your life. So here we go. You have a right brain and you have a left brain. How many here have studied in any way neuropsychology or brain development or psychology or anything like that? A few of you. Okay, so your right brain is essentially tied to your emotions and your feelings and your creative spirit. It is timeless and spaceless. It doesn't care. And it doesn't differentiate you or the other person. To your right brain, when you have an empathetic experience, it's taking the other person, putting it inside you, and you relive that experience as if it was yourself. How many people have experienced something like that? You watch a movie, you get tears, or the hairs go up on the back of your neck. Your left brain, however, is a little bit of an asshole because it takes all of this stuff and it hierarchizes it. It turns it into a hierarchy. It creates a list, priorities. That's what also gives us our experience of time. So the question is then, what does that list look like and how do we manage it? Can we use that list for anything in particular? We all have responsibilities in our business to prioritize. Would you agree? We all need to prioritize. We also need to help our people prioritize. Would you agree? And if we can't prioritize effectively, then nothing gets done and generally the business will fall apart. Entropy takes over. So I want to talk about vision. I want to talk about leadership because if you're in this room, you're probably a leader. In fact, you're probably attending this conference because you believe in a leader. Would you agree? It might be Arnie, might be Matt, it might be Alex Rogers, it might be any big personality who has gone out into the world and made a difference. Would you agree? We are inspired by people who make a difference. But what kind of difference? And does it really matter? Because all of us want to make a difference a different way. So if we want to make a measurable impact on the world in our unique way, would you agree that we are really on a quest to love ourselves? We want to know ourselves. We want to be ourselves, which is why we're entrepreneurs. Would you agree you don't want someone else to tell you who to be? Yes? Yes, no? Right? And would you agree that at the end of the day, you truly want to be loved for who you are exactly? You don't want to change for other people. You want to act and speak your opinion. You want to believe in what you believe, and you want to share that message with other people. So today I want to share a message about genius, leadership, and potential. And I want to share that message with you because growing up, I had a bit of an analytical mind. I was frustrated by the fact that my father spent hundreds of hours in a pharmacy that he had to be a slave to. He went out into the world to become an entrepreneur. And when he went out to be an entrepreneur, he was actually doing it for his father. He wanted to be an entrepreneur because his dad told him to. And the result of that was he ended up spending time away from his family. He experienced not really liking what he had to do. Originally, he loved pharmacy. But when something that you love to do becomes a have to do, it changes. Would you agree? Right? You can love it to death, but if you still have to do it, it's frustrating. Would you agree? We don't like the have-tos. So I wanted to go out into the world and not need to get rid of half of myself to love myself. How many of you have had an experience where someone in a relationship was trying to change you? Everyone, put your hands up. How many of you had an experience where you felt shame and guilt because you didn't think you did the right thing? You made a mistake. Yes? Okay. Your left brain, throughout your lifetime, has been cataloging your experiences and your perceptions and your actions in life. It's been associating things that bring you pleasure with good. It's been associating things that bring you reward with achievement. And it's been releasing chemicals, as Simon Sinek talked about this morning, to associate all of those things that you think are helping you be you, helping you achieve your mission, helping you share your message, or helping you be a good leader and a messenger for whatever it is that you believe in, who you are. And on the other side of the spectrum, anything that has challenged you, despaired you, held you back, kept you from being who you are, has been associated with bad. So when we see something in life that we think is going to help us fulfill our mission, we label it good automatically. And when we see something that challenges our mission, we label it bad automatically. Would you agree? Everyone has things that they believe are good and things that they believe are bad. But the truth is, there's someone on the other side of the planet who believes that what you think is good is bad, right? And what you think is bad is good. So there's a conservation. The second law of thermodynamics says there is nothing gained nor lost, it simply changes form. There's an axiom that says the master dances in the transformation. He doesn't get attached to one side or the other. So I want to bring those two ideas together because this hierarchy of priorities in your left brain is unique to you. Would you agree that what's most meaningful and important to you and what you believe and what you've experienced in your perception is absolutely unique? Nobody can get inside your head. And I'm sure you've tried. How many people have tried to get someone in your head and they just don't get it? Everyone, right? So because your left brain is tied into your reticular activating system, this has two major impacts and influences on your life. The first is, would you agree everyone has actions? They take actions in life. You have an output, right? You can apply force to a situation. You can change something. You also have inputs in the form of perceptions, right? So we all have inputs and outputs, and we're all labeling those inputs and outputs good and bad based on what we think is important. And we've been cataloging those and organizing those, and they're being downloaded into your lower brains, your reptilian brain, which governs your behavior automatically. In fact, it's been scientifically proven that when you think you've made a decision, you're really just becoming aware of it. You didn't make the decision. In fact, most people think they're making decisions, but they're coming to terms with the decisions at the same time everyone else is. So how are we making these decisions then? These decisions are being compared against this list of things in our left brain that are important to us, and we are filtering our experiences and our actions according to that list. So, a mother who cares very deeply for her child is walking through the mall. And would you agree that that mother is going to see things in that mall that are relevant to children? She's going to see baby toys. She's going to see children's books. She's going to see clothing. She's going to talk about how if she buys her children lunch, then they don't have to go home and make it, right? Her husband, who loves business and finance, walks through that very same mall and sees a very different situation. Would you agree? How many of you have a spouse? Okay. Would you agree your spouse is basically your opposite? Okay. So I'm going to make the statement that because our life is governed by values, that relationships are economy, that we engage in relationships to exchange value and to complement our opposites, right? If I'm the hunter-gatherer, I need a nurturer and a farmer. So through our reticular activating system, if our perceptions are filtering through this list of values, then what we see in the world is a version of that list. And our actions on the world are directly tied to that list, and even we don't know it. And most people walk through life trying to be someone else. How many of you have tried to do something for your spouse that they wanted you to do, but you didn't really give a shit about? And what did you say after? I'm sorry, I'll try harder. I'll be better next time, but you're not better next time because you don't give a shit. My spouse is here. I realized one day that I didn't actually like doing chores. I don't like cleaning my house, so I'm not going to do it. Is that fair? Okay, let's go to the business side of things. Would you agree that in business, you're trying to get rid of the things that you don't like to do? In fact, the only way to grow your business is through delegation. Delegation is this thing where we're trying to get rid of the things that are low on our priority list. we're going to try to get someone else to do it in a way that we can extract surplus value. Because if you get someone else to do it, but they cost $100 an hour and you can't afford them, then is that effective delegation? No. So you need to find someone who's willing to do the work you don't want to do. Then they need to want to do it. How many people have hired someone to do one thing, and then for the life of you, you couldn't get them to do it? How many of you have technicians? Have you been able to get them to enter their time? Right? Why? Because they don't care about time, they care about fixing computers. They don't see how time is going to help them fulfill their values. They don't see how time matters. They just want to fix computers, yes? The technician wants to fix the stuff, the salesman wants to sell the stuff, the business development manager wants to grow the business. So how do we leverage that? So you all have a worksheet, right? I told you that your values govern your behavior. If you don't have a pen, we have some pens up here. This worksheet is going to ask you to look at your life. But you don't just need to apply this to your life. If you take this worksheet and you apply it to someone else's life, and you do it according to their behaviors, not what they tell you, because what they tell you is bullshit. But if you watch their behavior and you answer these questions, would you agree that if what I've told you is true, and these values are embedded in your subconscious, in your reticular activating system, and that's governing your behavior, and your behavior has created the results you have in life, can everyone agree with that? Your behavior and every action you've taken has brought you to this very room? Yes? So if that's governed your behavior and the results you have in your life today exist outside of yourself, then don't make shit up when you fill this form out. Right? Because you're going to be filling out this form and you're going to be thinking, oh, fuck, I do this, but I should be doing something different. And that voice isn't yours. Right? So Freud had an idea. He said there's a superego. Freud's superego is when you look out into society and you see an alpha, yes? You believe that that alpha has a better life than you do. That's the only reason you defer to them. They're smarter, they're better at business, they have more money, they have more social influence, they have more physical beauty, right? They have something better than you think you have. So you think, oh God, life would be so much better if I had that. Okay, so Aristotle had an experiment. Let's take all of our problems and dump them in the middle of the room. Everyone take all of your problems. Think about your most challenging problem. Put it in the middle of the room. And then let's all walk up to that pile and see what other problem we'd like to choose. How many of you think that you would actually walk away with someone else's problems? You probably wouldn't. In fact, in his studies, he found that nobody wanted to. They didn't want to take someone else's problems. They wanted their own problems. Okay, so the results you have in your life today is how I want you to base this exercise. And I want you to be specific. And don't tell me you don't know. And when we use the word values, I don't want you to come up with words like integrity and truth and all that kind of crap. Because let's be honest. Would everyone in this room agree that in a moment when it served you, you told the truth? How many people in this room have told the truth when it was important to them and meaningful and they thought they would get a reward if they told the truth? Put up your hands. Everyone. And how many of you have lied when you thought that you'd get more reward out of lying? Put your hands up. All of you have done it. To your wife or your husband especially. So everyone lies when they think that it's going to get them more reward over risk, more gain over loss, more support than challenge, and we're programmed that way. The chemical stuff that Simon was talking about this morning is your guttural instincts. We have impulse towards food, prey, the client, right? The new opportunity, the new technology that's going to make our business super efficient, never does. We have impulse to that. We also have instinct away from the things that are going to cause us danger in our life, right? Would you agree that something dangerous happens, you want to flee from it? Everyone does it. But there's also some part of us that is willing to endure a challenge. You're all business owners. How many of you have endured pleasure and pain in pursuit of building your business? Everyone put your hands up. How many of you love your family? And how many of you have endured pleasure and pain in pursuit of the fulfillment of your responsibilities in your family? All of you. And how many of you value your friends and your social life? And how many of you have endured pleasure and pain in pursuit of that social life? Physical well-being? How many of you endured pain in pursuit of physical well-being? You've gone for runs, you've done exercise. Okay, so then we can agree that when something's important to us, we will endure pleasure and pain in pursuit of it, yes? Yes or no? Okay, but if it's not important to us, are you willing to endure pleasure and pain? I just watched Alex ask a room, how many of you change your oil? Why? Because it's painful. You don't want to get under your car and get dirty. So you can pay someone $25 to do that. That's delegation. So then what is this part of us that is willing to endure both the predator and the prey in pursuit of what's most meaningful? What part of that is inside us? Would all of you agree that if you had 24 hours to live, you'd probably go find the people in your life that you cared about and say, thank you, I love you? How many would go say thank you, I love you to the people they care about in the last 24 hours? So then would you agree that thank you, I love you is your highest priority? 24 hours left to live, you wouldn't do anything but that. Is that a high priority? Yes? Okay. No, you guys don't want to love your family? It's fine. So then thank you, I love you is the highest calling for all of us. We all want to be able to say thank you, I love you. And the only way to do that is if we think we can be who we are, right? You're not going to say thank you for trying to change me, you asshole. Right? Okay. So for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to call this lower mind. I'm going to call this higher mind. But basically what I'm getting to here is when something challenges your values or something isn't important to you, you'd rather instant gratify than go through the challenge or do it. How many of you get upset at business, you go home and eat some ice cream? Or drink a few beers after work? Or when you get challenged, you want to smoke a cigarette? Or smoke some weed? I don't know. If you can figure this out, and you can figure it out for them, actually, let me back up. How many of you have said that relationships are based on compromise? How many of you believe that relationships are based on compromise? How many of you believe that relationships and effective relationships in business or life need to have sacrifice involved? Okay, you're all wrong. I'm going to tell you why, but this is really important. Let's say you have someone else and you have you, okay? And let's say you can figure out what's most meaningful and important to them based on their behavior. And then you can take your own psychology and your own behavior and investigate and discover what's most meaningful and important to you. And then you could sit down at a table and instead of saying, you know what, you owe me something, so you need to be altruistic and do something for me for free, you could say, listen, whatever's important to you, I can help you achieve if you help me achieve what's most important to me. Would you agree that if both of you are fulfilling your highest values in a transaction, then one of you doesn't have to sacrifice? How many of you have heard the axiom that it's better to give than receive? How many of you have, okay. So is that to imply then that the person doing the receiving is a sinner? Okay, that didn't go anywhere. It's imbalanced. The truth is, fair exchange rules the system. Whether you're aware of it or not, there's always a fair exchange. There's always an exchange in values at the behavioral level, whether your conscious mind realizes it or not. How many of you have experienced a circumstance where you thought it was really, really painful, but a day, a week, a month, a quarter, a year, or 5 years later, you realized that there was some good in that? And how many of you thought that there was this fantastic opportunity, this super awesome thing that you could achieve in life, and it only had a bunch of benefits and there were no drawbacks, and a day, a week, a month, a quarter, a year, or 5 years later, you realized it wasn't actually all that great? A new car or something like that. Let's do the exercise, yes? I want to help you understand your values. I want you to look, probably for the first time, at your behavior and see what's important and meaningful to you. So, space. First line on this little questionnaire, we're going to answer every question 3 times. And the point of this exercise is to create a catalog of data that we're then going to summarize on the other side of the paper. So, would you agree that if it's important to you, you surround yourself with it? In your cubicle at work, you have pictures of things that are important to you. You have trophies, you have awards, you have business certifications, you have something that's important to you, yes? And if it's not important to you, you recycle it, you throw it away, you put it in storage. So there's a distance factor. Okay, so I want you to go find the place in your mind that's most meaningful and important to you. And then I want you to ask yourself, what are the most prominent items that fill that space? What are the most meaningful items that are in that space? If there was a fire and I had to run away with those items, what would those items be? It might be people. If you live in a house full of people and you surround yourself with people, that might be the answer. So what is most meaningful and important to you that you fill your space with, that you keep close to you? That's the first question. That's what your behavior demonstrates. You need a pen? Actually, thanks. Everyone got a couple? Okay, so choose your space. What space is most meaningful to you? Where do you spend the most time? Okay, in your office, at work, what do you have on your desk? Put that down. Find your space, look what's in it. Yes, I only have an hour. I'm going to rush through this, guys. I'm sorry. Time. We all have the same 24 hours. We all spend our time differently. How do you spend your time? And if you spend 10 hours at work, don't tell me you spend your time on your kids. Just don't. It's not real. Look at your day timer, look at your week, look at your month. How did you spend and invest your time? Where did your time go? Write those items down. Three answers for each question is the goal. If you don't finish it right now, we can sort of go back and finish it later. But yeah, the goal is to have all three answers for three questions. They don't need to be prioritized, just three answers for every question. Okay. Energy. Would you agree that at 12 o'clock at night when you're standing or sitting around the family dinner table and everyone's been talking forever and you're about to fall asleep, someone says something to you and you perk right back up? Who's had that experience? The topic switches, and all of a sudden you're back. It's like you could have gone to sleep a second ago, but now you're here again. So where do you spend your energy the most, and what gives you the most energy? What can fire you right back up again? Three items. Money. We all earn money, yes? How do you spend your money? Non-essentials, right? When we answer these questions, I want non-essentials. So let's say you bought a house. If it's a house that you have to live in, that's different than I bought a nice house for my family. If you've associated ties to a house, you can put your house for money. But if you just have a house because you need a place to live, then don't put that answer down. If you make money, let's say someone has a values. I love to dance. I love shoes. I love clothing. I love my family. I love education. I love business. Shoes. Shoes. Would you agree that she's going to run out of money at the end of the month before she fills down that whole list? Right? There's always things that you would have spent money on but didn't. Right? And that list is ever expanding. So you spend your money according to your values. What do you spend your money on the most? Next, we're going to talk about order and organization. Not a teacher on this planet can convince me that a child has ADD. It's not going to happen, and here's why. There are children who have been diagnosed with ADD because they can't focus at school, but the minute they go home, they can play Halo all fucking night. Where's the ADD then, guys? Here's the truth. You have attention surplus order on things that are important to you. Would you agree? How many of you stay up all night thinking about your business? How many of you fixate on it? Okay, but how many of you spend all night thinking about the biology of rabbits? None of you. So, where are you most ordered and organized? Because you're going to organize your room, your office, your environment according to your values. And you're going to be disorganized when it's not important to you. And if you think you should be organized when you're not, that means you think you should be someone different. Would you agree? So where are you most ordered and organized? In my case, I have a master plan for my life that's like 500 fucking pages. I'm the only one that I know who has one except for my mentor. And that's because I'm highly ordered and organized about the fulfillment and the genius and the leadership in my life. Most people spend more time planning their holiday than they do their life. Would you agree? How many of you have a written mission statement for you as an individual? Okay, 5 of you. That's great. How many of you have a life plan written? A few of you. Good. So you're ordered and organized because you want to be fulfilled, yes? Disciplined and reliable. How many of you have forgotten to do something in your life? 4 of you. Okay, you're all whatever. So where are you most disciplined and reliable? Where do you put it in your calendar, never miss it, show up on time? Where do you make promises and always keep them? And don't tell me you always keep all your promises because I guarantee you don't. What do you think about most? Would you agree that a natural biologist thinks about the welfare of animals? But you guys probably think a whole lot about your business, yes? And it's okay to write down business. So what do you think about most, where you're conceptualizing, you're formulating, you have ideas about stuff? You're implementing new ideas, you're putting them to work in your business, you're getting feedback from people, you have conversations, it triggers an idea, you think about it. Yes? That's your left brain, by the way, because the next question is, what do you visualize most? There are some things you think about in language, and there are other things you think about in pictures, yes? How many of you have seen yourself in the future doing something? Seen in a picture? I know you're writing, and I'm asking you to put up your hands too. So what do you see yourself doing? When I was young, I saw myself speaking. Not here, but I saw that, yes? Now, these things are showing signs of coming true. Would you agree? How many of you have thought a lot about your business and then eventually saw things that you thought about actually happen? So they demonstrate signs of coming true. Because if you're thinking about it and you're occupied with it and it's going on in your head, the probability of that actually manifesting in your life is increased. And I'm going to talk about the neuroscience behind how that happens once we've done the exercise. In fact, I don't even remember what's in my presentation. I'm not going to go to it. How many of you have affirmations? You say something to yourself. You're not thinking about it. You're actually talking to yourself in your own head. Right? That's the next item. What are you talking to yourself about? You're literally having an inner dialogue. There's a conversation happening. What do you think about in terms of that conversation the most? Where does that go? What topics are you covering? Okay, now, would you agree that just about every time you have a conversation with someone, you're trying to direct it to what's important to you? I know you feel kind of guilty about it. Everyone does, but when you have a conversation, you're talking to an investor, you could be talking about your business and your problems in your business, and he's going, hey, well, there's a financial opportunity there. You know, you could go delegate this or outsource this or get your help desk done here, and you could save some money. You know that, right? Money-focused people always talk about money. People who are interested in stocks and bonds are talking to you about stocks and bonds. Hey, what investments do you have? How many have friends like that? How are your investments looking? How many people know athletes who tie everything back to sports? Would you agree? You all have friends. I know that you're experiencing this. I'm just seeing blank looks. Yes. So you talk about to other people things that are meaningful to you. Can everyone agree about that? Would you agree if it's not important to you, you actually try to shut up about it? It's like, I don't want to talk about my animal, whatever that is. Okay. What inspires you the most? And I'm using the word inspiration, and I'm going to address the word passion later. But what inspires you? When I say inspires you, I mean you well up from within. You literally, like this emotion. The hairs go up in the back of your neck. You might be listening to music. Here's an exercise. Everyone go back to all of the music that has ever given you a flash chill and go and write down the lyrics of it. All of them. Try to do it throughout your whole life. The music and the video content that has brought tears to your eyes. Go back and itemize what the content was. That's feedback. That's trying to awaken you to something. Yes? Okay, goals. How many of you set goals? Everyone who's not writing. When you set a goal and you write it down, not wishes, wishes aren't written. Goals means it's written somewhere, or you've asked someone to do it for you, or it's been made manifest. What goals have you set in your life that are showing signs of coming true? Not the bullshit goals that you think you should be doing that never actually happen. You know what I'm talking about. The goals that are showing signs and demonstrably coming true in your life. I set a goal to become a speaker and a teacher. Would you agree it's showing signs of coming true? No?
You're on stage.
Right, so that's a goal. I set that goal. I wrote it down. It's in my book. I can show it to you guys later if you like. What goals have you set that show signs of coming true? Now, we're walking through the mall. In my country, we have chapters. I don't know what you guys have. Like Indigo, Barnes & Noble. Actually, no more bookstores exist, but You go on the Amazon website and you're browsing ebooks, or you're going to Google asking questions. What do you read and learn about the most? My network technician, who never installs cables, literally researches cabling all day. He never installs them, just researches them. It's fine. But what do you read and learn about most in your life? If it were a bookstore, it'd be the first section you go to. And then there's a second section that you go to. Right? Mine's human potential, and then business, and then sales. Last but not least, we all have social media, whether you're addicted or not. What shows up in your news feed the most? And what do you post the most? And has anybody seen the Wolfram Alpha Facebook data analyzer tool? Go check it out, Wolfram Alpha. Type in Facebook. It'll connect to your Facebook profile, suck out all your data, and then give you a nice summary about who you are. It'll do a tag cloud. Everything you've ever typed into Facebook, it tag clouds the most used words and whatnot. It's cool. I use that tool to do this line. In fact, many of these lines, if you automate this, I don't know if any of you use Quicken or some other personal financial management, but would you agree that on the line where it says, where do I spend my money, you could go to your Quicken data, pull out the pie chart? Like, my objective here is to get as real as possible, as specific as possible. And I've done this exercise myself like 30 or 40 times, and my objective is to become more and more specific, because would you agree in 30 seconds of me yelling at you, you've probably just got some ideas down, right? And would everybody agree that some of these ideas have repeated? How many have repeating items on this questionnaire? All of you should to some degree. Okay. The exercise I want to do now is in 5 minutes or less, take all of the items on the front of this sheet of paper and group them up. So if your first item is, I fill my space with books, and on the second line, I spend my money on courses and seminars, group those together. Put a 1 for each of them or something. And then we're going to flip the paper over, and we're going to write down the most, the categories that had the most numbers first, right? So in my case, you know, I spend my time learning, I buy books, I go to seminars, I'm energized by speaking and teaching. So for me, my highest value is speaking and teaching, principles of human behavior, right? We want to summarize these into a list on the back. And the idea is on the back of this sheet, that list is your left brain and the programming that has become manifest in your life. These are the results of your life today, and we're trying to look at those results and get a reflection of those results into a list of meaningful categories, because that's really all they are, categories, right? Unlocking genius, leadership, and potential, that's a category. All of you to some degree value that, or you wouldn't even be in the room. You want to unlock to some degree genius, leadership, and potential in yourselves or in other people. Can everyone agree with that? You would not be sitting here if that wasn't at least partially true. So what items repeated most frequently? Put that item in line item number 1 on the back of the sheet. What items repeated second most frequently? Put them in the second line on the back of the sheet. What item repeated 3 times most frequently? Put that in the third item. What do I have in here? Does everyone have at least something on the back of their sheet? How many of you have something? Okay. How many of you see that that top item on the back of the sheet of paper to some degree reflects your identity? So when you go and introduce yourself, you introduce yourself similarly to the top line on that piece of paper, yes? I'm sure many of you have business as the top line or close to it. I'm a business owner. I'm a speaker. I'm a teacher. I'm a mother. I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer, right? So here's the deal. Here's some neuroscience. Your brain has roughly 2 kinds of cells. This is grossly oversimplified. 2 kinds of cells. You have glial cells, and you have neurons. Everyone knows what a neuron does, yes? Conducts electricity in your brain. Glial cells are responsible for the thickening of the myelin sheath that coats your neurons. And the thickness of that myelin sheath determines how conductive and how large that neuron can grow. Is everyone following me? So the sheath around the neuron is like the coating on a cable. And the thicker that cable, the more resistance it is to interference and the more copper you can push through the middle. Yes? In fact, you can group up neurons and wrap the whole group of neurons in myelin. So, when your reticular activating system filters your perceptions based on your values, and it catalogs something that supports your values. Someone give me something that's on the top of their list. Who wants to volunteer their highest value? Relationships. Perfect. When you have a perception in life that something is challenging your relationships, would you agree that cortisol gets released? You have the fight or flight? And when you have a perception that someone is supporting your relationships, you get the oxytocin. Yes. So every time that happens, your brain in less than 3 milliseconds has been scientifically proven to send blood flow to the region of the brain that relates to relationships, in your case, thickens with the glial cells the myelin sheath around your neurons. Your neurons, therefore, grow in density and capacity, which therefore is a feedback mechanism back to your reticular activating system to focus again more on relationships. Do you see that? That's a closed loop. She sees something that supports her values on relationship, and her brain is actively rewiring to help her see and act on more opportunities to fulfill her relationships and avoid experiences that challenge that. There's other scientific studies that demonstrate that if you practice your golf swing in real life and you practice it in your head, your brain responds the same way. Does everyone know that? Or is this the first time you've heard it? What does that mean then? Your brain is a purpose-seeking machine according to your values. It is consistently remodeling to try to help you reach the greatest fulfillment according to your highest value. Would you agree when you're able to act according to the number one item on your list in that day, no matter what, you go home feeling fulfilled and inspired? Yes? Are you inspired when you have the opportunity to invest in your relationships? That's not passion, that's inspiration, and those are different, and here's why. Passion occurs with impulses and instincts to avoid pain and seek pleasure. In fact, the etymology of the word passion, which is grossly overused, is rooted in the word passio, which is Latin for pain, suffering. So passion is to suffer, passion of the Christ, literally the suffering of the Christ. When you are not acting according to your values, you've injected the values of an authority figure or a social idealism, you are literally suffering through emotional passion, having circular experiences in your life, trying to awaken you to act this way and to throw off the authority figure and be yourself. You're programmed to do that. In fact, the entire universe is helping you to achieve that. When you see a challenge and you awaken the opportunity in the challenge and you integrate those, would you agree that you've had moments of enlightenment, aha moments? Yes? When you all of a sudden caught the good and the bad, oh, I feel lighter. Yes? You've literally had a moment of enlightenment. So, your brain, just like in chemistry, when you have a perception on something that challenges your values and you don't see the supporting components, creates an ion. And that ion is now on a quest to be resolved. That's why it's called a question. It's a quest for the ion to be integrated with its quantum opposite. I'm getting a bit technical, but the point is, you cannot have a perception on life of something that challenges your values, that doesn't also support your values, and the time it takes you to go from something that challenges you to something that supports you is your degree of mastery in life. I'm going to say that again. The time it takes you to reveal the blessing in the challenge, the opportunity in the despair, determines your mastery of life. Masters dance in the transformation and they see the blessings and the curses as covalent opposites, and they take no credit, they take no blame, they just stay focused on chief aim. Napoleon Hill called your most meaningful and inspired priority your chief aim in life. Yes? How many of you have difficulties marketing? Here's where we get to the unique selling part. Your your ISP, your MSP, your VAR, your business and your marketing message is not about technology. Technology, by definition, is a tool. It's a means to an end, and therefore dependent and integrated with an end in mind. You cannot help someone make progress if you do not understand what's most important to them. Would you agree? Someone sits down at the table and says, you haven't asked me for help, but I'm going to help you because I know who you are. How do you respond? You don't fucking know me. Maury, you don't know me. And when you go to other people trying to tell them who they should be, how do they respond to you? The exact same way. But if someone comes to you and asks a question, and you give them value for that question, there's an integral relationship there. So, your highest value is your unique selling proposition. My MSP is no different than anyone else's. What makes me different is when I work with my clients, I'm interested in helping them to unlock their genius, their leadership, and their potential. The use of my technology must be applied to some meaningful purpose, some meaningful end in mind, some meaningful, inspired reason and vision to go out into the world and make a difference. I want to help business owners go and make an impact on the world in a way that integrates with their chief aim, that helps them create fulfillment not just for them in their own lives, but for the cultures that they're leading and for the cultures that they're integrating with as they expand into the marketplace. And when you go out and you serve your clients, you're not doing it because you love technology. You're doing it because you know technology can help them the same way it helped you. I said earlier today that voids drive values. So the value that you have on the top of your list is driven by something you think is missing in the world. That is what you're trying to fulfill. The word fulfillment literally means to import into my sphere of influence and awareness what I think is missing. To fulfill my voids by discovering and adding and creating value. How do we apply this to our cultures? All of your employees have values. Every single one of them has something that they're trying to achieve in life. Their most meaningful and inspired value, the item at the top of their list, is what they wake up every day trying to achieve. Nobody tries to achieve your values. Nobody wakes up in the world saying, I'm going to help Alexander grow his business just for me. Nobody does. And relationships are by default in this exchange and economy until something better comes along. So as long as you're fulfilling their values and they see how your business is going to help them fulfill their values, they'll work for you. The minute they think someone else with a greater vision maybe can help them fulfill their values more efficiently and effectively, they're gone. It's math, folks. Quite literally a math problem. So it's in your best interest not just to do this for you. Because if you do this for you, you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to go, shit, how do I fulfill my values today? And if you're addicted to good, if you're addicted to health, if you're addicted to happiness, if you're addicted to harmony, if you're addicted to heaven, wake up. Who here has ever been able to get rid of their negative thinking? Nobody. Who here has been able to get rid of disease? Who here has been able to, in society, stop the wars on the planet? Has there ever been a moment where there isn't some sort of conflict? So why do we believe then that happiness and this one-sided world can really be achievable? Nobody's done it. Through time, nobody has achieved happiness without sadness. Nobody has achieved harmony without destruction. Nobody has achieved peace without war in their relationships, in their family. Nobody has done it, so why are we trying? Because I have told you here that if you embrace pleasure and pain, we create fulfillment, yes? Who wants to live a life where there are no challenges? Nobody. So why are we trying? In fact, only when you're living according to your lower values will you try to avoid the challenges. So if you wake up and you see yourself avoiding challenges, that means you're not really doing what's important to you. If you wake up in the morning inspired to take on a challenge, you've got this figured out. Same with your employees. I believe that if you live according to your highest values, you're willing to say no to people. You're willing to say no to that bad deal because it's not congruent. It's not going to help you fulfill your mission. You're willing to say no to your spouse who wants you to waste your time cleaning the carpet instead of going and making $1,000 to pay for the $25 maid. You know you're not going to fulfill your values if you allow other people to tell you who you are. So, my communication when I'm congruent with my values is pretty clear. When I'm communicating with people, my objective in the sales process isn't to tell them how awesome my company is. It isn't to tell them how great my values are and how they should be like me, which is how most IT people operate, unfortunately. Our objective is to ask quality questions. Our objective is to go out into the world and say, what's most meaningful and important to you, and can I help you fulfill that? And if you've been wise enough to build a business around your own values, then you're going to be fulfilling your values while also helping them to do the same. And in your culture, if you hire for values, instead of hiring for performance and hiring for all this other authoritarian crap, then now you have an opportunity to help individuals within your culture fulfill their values too. If you can fulfill their values more effectively and more efficiently than any other business owner, they'll stay with you and they'll grow. If you can nurture their values, they'll grow faster than an employee who's basically being led by their impulses with a carrot on a stick, or punished through authority and avoiding you by instinct. If you have to punish and be authoritative with your staff, you're not governing them. You can try to govern them, but you're not. And they'll only live down here for so long, but they will build units of resentment and break away from you eventually. Can everyone agree? You can only play tyrant so long until someone snaps. Yes? How many of you have had an experience where you played overdog in a relationship? Everyone should put their hands up. You've played overdog. How many of you have been in a relationship where someone else was the overdog? And how long did you stay in that relationship? Perfect. What do I have next? Did you change this already? Oh, okay. So stop trying to control people, because it ain't going to work. You can keep trying. It's a waste of your time. But here's the deal. How many of you have gone home at the end of the day and thought to yourself, oh, I can relax. I can have just, a moment of comfort without pain. You know what I'm talking about. It's like, I can just be myself for a second, and then some crazy crap happens. Your client calls or server goes down. Or you've gone to work, and you haven't filled your day with high priorities, and all sorts of crazy shit happens. How many of you have made some money you didn't think you were going to make? You got elated about how much money you were going to make, and then all of a sudden a whole bunch of crazy bills showed up that you didn't know about. Yeah. So Parkinson's law is basically a law my mentor made up. But it says that if you don't fill your day with high priorities as governed by your values, your priorities, and you don't help other people fill their day with high priorities according to their values, it will automatically fill up with distractions. It will automatically fill up with low priority crap, because you're never going to achieve a day where you're not going to take on challenges, and the universe knows it. So if you're not going to create inspires that challenge you according to your values, the universe will fill up your day with challenges that inspire you. How many of you have experienced that? You didn't wake up in the morning and write your checklist like Jim Rohn says, and a whole bunch of crap that you didn't really want to deal with showed up, so that you basically had to grow. So the universe is trying to make sure you grow. It's trying to make sure that you grow but remain loved according to your values, and it's trying to make sure that every feedback you get, whether it's from your own physiology, your own psychology, that's called your intuition, your sociology, your friends, your workplace, your customers, or theology, that's called Murphy's Law, shit happens to wake you up, right? Some people call it the feather in the brick in the truck. How many of you had something where you sort of had a nagging feeling it was too good to be true, you ignored it, then your friends came along and said, Sally, he's really kind of an asshole. You should dump him. You didn't listen to her either, and then it just blew up in your face. Some cataclysmic event occurred, and you had no choice but to break up that relationship, for example. So we want to make sure that we're filling our day with high priorities, that we're helping other people to fill their day with high priorities, and in fact, we're all basically just trying to wake up. 99.999% of the planet is living according to injected values, social idealisms. They're trying to get rid of half themselves to love themselves. They're trying to do what other people tell them without integrating it into their own philosophy and their own being, right? And they're passionate, they're emotional, they're frustrated, they're depressed, they're angry, they're disorganized, they've got ADD, they've got the ABCDs of negativity, right? Anger and aggression, blame and betrayal, criticism and challenge, denial and despair. That stuff shows up to tell you, you're not doing this right. You're not living your life right, but not according to anyone else's definition, it's your own. The thing about the social feedback that we get from other people is that we think that that's their opinion and it has nothing to do with us. But the fact of the matter is, when someone shows up in your life, the student is ready and the master has appeared, right? Who's heard that everything is the teacher? There's an axiom that says everything is the teacher. The universe is an equilibration machine trying to wake you up to this simple list. And if you can wake up and do one thing that fulfills the top of this list, you've made progress towards becoming more of who you are. So, will you switch out? All great leaders share one trait in common. Every single leader shares this trait. Their voice on the inside is more powerful than every voice on the outside. Would you agree? How many of you would agree that when Simon Sinek stood on that stage today, he held presence, certainty, poise, and was inspired to share a message? Yes? And it would not matter what you said to him, he's got it together. For him. Yes? The voice on the inside for him has awoken him to his purpose. And by honoring that purpose, he's been able to reach people. In fact, those with the greatest certainty are certain because they know that no matter what supports them or challenges them, this is who they are. And that as long as they stay who they are, tomorrow they're going to wake up and they're going to expand their nature. How many of you want to wake up and expand? We have a calling within to expand our wealth, expand our social influence, expand our physical well-being, expand our legacy, expand. We want to leave something behind. We want to have more money at the end of the month than month at the end of our money, right? What is it in us that calls us to leave that behind? I call that our higher-minded nature. Our higher-minded nature is trying to get us to synthesize and synchronize complementary opposites. And I believe that love is that synthesis and synchronicity. Love in the marketplace is pleasure without pain, support without challenge, a relationship where we're all just supporting each other and there's nobody getting mad. But in the real world, love is when you can embrace pleasure and pain in pursuit of that meaningful idea, that meaningful message, that meaningful impact. And without these other people, it's not meaningful. Can we agree? If I was the only person in this room talking to myself, would this be fun? Maybe in my case. So consciously living according to your values is the key to expanding your vision. And the order of magnitude of time and space, the order of magnitude of time and space in your innermost dominant thought determines your ability to influence the outside world. Your ability to make an impact on the outside world is a reflection of how great the time and space horizons are in your mind. Would you agree that when Steve Jobs visualized the iPad 60 years before it was produced, that that's quite the time horizon? Yes? 40, 50, 60-year time horizon, that's a pretty big time horizon. Can you see directly that his company and his message and his mission has touched in proportion the world to that time and space horizon? How many of you are thinking in your business plans 5 years? Great. How many are you thinking in 10 years? And for those of you with a life plan, how many of you are thinking in 50 or 100 years, centennial? Good. Guaranteed you'll make an impact on the world. So our objective is then to expand our time and space horizons in our mind. And the only way we're going to do that is by setting and achieving goals that are congruent with our values. Would you agree that when you set and achieve a goal, you give yourself permission to do more? Yes? But when you set a goal and you fail, you close down. All of us have experienced this. I fucked it up. Better try something simpler. So by knowing your values and setting goals congruent with your values, not only do you become who you are and you become to know yourself, you get to be yourself. And to the degree that you get to be yourself, you can love yourself. And to the degree you love yourself, other people will love you. If you don't love yourself, don't expect other people to love you. If you don't value yourself, do not expect other people to value you. If you do not honor yourself, don't expect other people to honor you. So it starts with you. The culture at your work that's broken, it's not them, it's you. It's not a bad thing. We all wake up. This is like the Matrix, right? Do you really want to know the truth? Your behavior is speaking so loud, I can't hear you. Who's heard that before? Your behavior speaks so loud, I can't hear you. So honor that. Honor your behavior. Honor your values. Honor other people for their behavior and their values, and stop trying to change them. Learn to love them. Ask how that thing that you think challenges you actually serves you. Speed up the time to discovering the opportunity and the challenge, right? Oh shit, we lost money last month. Okay, what are the benefits? Yes? Well, I got to focus on my marketing, I got to focus on my strategy, I got to build a plan, I got to reinforce my morale. All of a sudden, did you really lose anything, or did you simply choose to change your focus, invest in a different way, and can you recoup that investment? You're not going to recoup the investment unless you recognize it. I don't have any more, I could just keep talking. So here's the deal. I have a small business, I'm 4 people. I'm trying to figure out the whole marketing machine stuff. I've posted a website, it has a video. Put that back. Who has a question? check out this website. Sign up for my mailing list if you're interested in hearing more about me. Otherwise, just come talk to me after because I love to help people. I love to share. I love to answer tough questions. Yeah. I've heard that before. Yeah, I'm not sure how to relate to that or identify with it. I don't want to take credit for it, but thank you. Yeah. Sure. Go back. No, perfect. No. That's awesome. Thank you for asking that. Here's what you do. Take this piece of paper, bring them into the boardroom, make them fill it out honestly. It's an easy exercise. Well, a lot of people bullshit it, but you try to get them to do it as honestly as they can. Get their hierarchy of values, and then ask them this question. And make them answer it 30 or 60 or 100 times, depending on how bad they are at it. How is entering my time at this business directly going to help me fulfill my highest value? How is entering my time at this business going to help me fulfill my second highest value? How is entering my time at this business going to help me fulfill my third highest value? Make them answer that 30, 40, 50 times each, and they will literally be myelinating their brain, and they'll walk out that office with different behavior. Because you're showing them how it serves them. And you're awakening it. And if you do it enough, you'll get to a point, it'll be really hard at the beginning, and they're going to tell you to fuck off. But if you can get them to a point where it's within their intuition, right, you're going to have to help them. If you get them to a point where it's within their intuition, they'll take over and they'll start doing it. We do this exercise all the time. I sit down in businesses, and we'll sit everyone in the boardroom. Well, first, we do it with the visionary. And we really get clear on the visionary's values. We articulate a mission statement and a vision statement for the company that isn't bullshit because it's tied to a value. And then we find all the values of the employees, and then we link the values to their job description, and we link their values to the vision of the business. And we've seen measurably in Japan a 30% productivity improvement. And I don't know how they measured that, but they measured it in the biggest company in Japan. 30% walking out of the boardroom. What kind of impact would that have on your business? This is neuropsychology. This is real science. It's proven. 50 years from now, it'll be common stuff, and right now, people don't like it very much. But I guarantee you, this will become common knowledge, and if you're hearing it from me, this is early information. Neuropsychology is the future. Business is about human beings exchanging value, and the most effective and efficient exchange of value is here. Yes? Any other questions? Within a hold-on, so to speak, yeah. Straight answer, they're not asking the right questions. The quality of your life is dictated by the quality of the questions you ask yourself and ask other people. I ask difficult questions, and I get inspired results. But they're just not asking the right questions. They're asking, how do I live a happy life? How do I live a life without any challenge? How do I retire and not need to work, right? They're not asking questions that are actually going to tie them back to universal principles. We're IT people. We talk best practice every day, yes? So let's talk about universal principles. Let's talk about behavior. Let's talk about the thing behind the thing. Where does science emerge from? Where does religion emerge from? Where does human behavior emerge from? There's something we don't understand, right? And we can talk and talk and talk about that, but quite simply put, they're just not asking the right questions. And they don't see the blessings in the challenges and the challenges in the blessings. Any others?
You talked about engaging relationships, the exchange of values.
Yep.
So, two-part question. Did you meet your wife before or
Before. And we were volatile. Yeah, we were dense fuckers. But, yeah.
And how easy was it to, to grow together under this philosophy?
She chose to adapt. Two parts. I was willing to walk away because I found my higher calling and I was going to do it no matter what. I wasn't going to allow a voice on the outside to dictate me. But two, through my behavior and my demonstrable results, she chose to stick through the pain of that experience and learned. And because we now learn together. So for example, we can do the value determination exercise. And one of the most valuable exercises you can do with your spouse is sit down every quarter and do your value determination and ask the question, how does my highest value help their highest value? How does my second highest value help their highest value? And then do it back again and you're literally integrating your value systems. So instead of now trying to judge them and change them for their values, you see how their values serve you and your values serve them. And you're willing to persist through pleasure and pain in pursuit of a fulfilling family vision. In fact, it's wise to create a mission statement at the level of the individual, the family, the community, the city, the state, the nation, the province, the world, and at all time and space horizons, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, 100 years. And to the degree that you're willing to become specific and wrap all of it back down to this context, you'd be really surprised what you can do with one another. Any others?
There's been a lot of stuff about culture. I think one of the key things you pointed out is the difference between a value and a behavior and an action. And I think sometimes people get those confused. I'm thinking about the time entry.
Mm-hmm.
The reality of it is our values, for example, trust. Time entry is an activity that contributes to trust. I need to trust that people are keeping track of things. We need to illustrate it to customers. Teamwork, financial success.
Let me address trust. I want to address trust. You cannot trust someone to operate in any way that's outside their values. Trust is a social idealism. But when you understand values, you can trust someone to live and operate according to their values, and if you expect them to live outside their values, you're setting yourself up for failure. So trust, as long as it's related to I trust you to live according to your values, and you can trust me to live according to my values, that's real trust. Otherwise, I call it pseudo-trust. Because you're not going to do it. If it's outside your values, you won't do it. It doesn't matter how much I trust you, it's not going to happen. Yep.
So clearly your entire, message here is value.
Yep.
All right. The problem is, how do you, in a short period of time, get somebody to be honest in, their value system? Because if I'm trying to interview someone to bring them into my organization, and I need to get their values to match my values, how am I supposed to get that information?
If they won't do it because it's too painful, fuck them. Seriously, at my interview process, I make them answer this question. What are 100 drawbacks to working for me? They make it up, but they have a fantasy about their life if they work for me anyways. I'm balancing out the fantasy in their mind. They think working for me is going to be better than not, so I want to destroy the delusion before they get into the game. No, it works. It works. My retention is unbelievable.
So your interviewing process is you want them to give you 100 reasons why working for you is
Yes.
not good.
Yes.
And then how's the rest of that conversation?
Well, the ones that are actually congruent, inspired, and interested in me and my values and my mission, they persist through it. If it's meaningful and inspired according to their values, they will endure the pain of that experience to fulfill it automatically. I'm trying to disqualify them. Stop trying to choose people and start trying to disqualify them because we're not qualified to choose. They're qualified to choose, but only by persisting through pleasure and pain. You want to make it painful. If your hiring process isn't painful, I guarantee your turnaround is high. Guaranteed.
Sorry to break it up, guys. I gotta get to the presentation, so.
Thanks.
So much.